with Alouth, and the EP is called Resentment, and it is an EP. Probably should have said that afterwards. It is the third EP from the Brooklyn, New York hardcore collective. They are a fucking proactive bunch. I went through, and this is their 10th separate release overall since their inception in 2014. And that includes demos, EPs, singles, albums, etc., etc., etc. I feel like when I went back through it, their second release was an acoustic album, which is maddening. This is a hugely energetic hardcore album compared to the fact that I was listening to the Metallica album, which I'll get to in a bit, a lot this past week. Hitting this on and that opening energy of Lead the Way is fucking outstanding. It's really big sound and earthy D beat opening and end riffs, and I feel like hardcore punk can go sonically one of two ways. You've got the really visceral, evil, powerful stuff like Converge, and I know they're more power violence, but like Nails and that kind of thing. You got that end of it, and you all got more like a fun side. I'm using fun in inverted commas, quotes, whatever they are. The more fun side of hardcore, and that's Every Time I Die and Cancer Bats. It's got a bit more rhythm to it and a bit more bounce to it. Not quite. I think bounce is the wrong word actually. Not because that makes it sound like new metal-y, but you know what I mean. You can play Cancer Bats Every Time I Die at a party and everyone will still get into it. I feel like you can do the same to Alouth at times, like the sludgy sort of stuff. Maybe not, but things like Lead the Way and I believe it was Uncertainty, most definitely. And certainly is along those same sort of line. It's got a really cool old school feel to it. I was looking through my music and I was kind of comparing it to like a Black Flag kind of thing or The Exploited. And I felt like I had a really interesting, clean vocal break part of the way through it. The best way I can describe it with the music and his kind of cleans, I was going through and like again that more old school punk kind of like more like Agent Orange. I'm not the biggest expert on Agent Orange, I'll admit, but that kind of, it's still big sounding and very, very punk rock in the background, but his voice is very clean cut and very controlled, I think is a best word I can think of. But Uncertainty was a really, really fun song, as was Lead the Way. Equal parts for the fun and lighthearted side of punk, you've got the big, visceral, sludge side of things. So, and the whole album is seeping with like big, huge riffs, and there's a couple on Divine, which is track 4, that almost sound like it's bridging on the mathy side of things. Cody Hell, who is the vocalist, he's got some fucking amazing vocals through here. I do think he does a really good job, and his voice is very, very good for this kind of thing. I don't know if it's him or Joe Paris who do the cleans on Uncertainty, but either way, when it comes to the sludger side of thing, Cody has more like a higher register. Joe has a more low, almost like death throat growl. And those two kind of vocals layered together and like coming at you it's really brutal sonically. And it adds that raw level of heaviness to what's already like quite heavy sounding music. And of course, everything's backed up by Matt Donovan's really, really fun drum work, especially on Ruin. It's little things. I feel like I've gone about a lot in the past couple of weeks, but little things like every time there's a snare hit in between lyrics in the chorus to Ruin, every time there's a snare hit, there's a stroke on the muted guitar, and just the muted guitar with his snare hit followed by a fill by him, it just really works well. There's little intricate and little interesting things like that in more low-key bands. It's what's gonna, in my opinion, what's gonna make them more, what's just gonna help, what's the word I'm trying to think of, grow their presence. I can't think of the better word, but grow their presence. The word is right there, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's just gonna fuck off, isn't it? Reputation. Hey, there we go. Grow their reputation a bit, just with little interesting things like that, because then your viewers who know what they're doing and not me can look at it and go, hey, that was pretty fun. Why don't we listen to the whole song? Hey, this whole song's pretty fun. And then you are selling out Wembley. You're welcome, lads. If you're a fan of Canterbats or Every Time I Die, or even like the Sludge side of things, I felt comparisons to High on Fire. I reckon you should go for this. It is Resentment. It is the EP from the band called Alouth. Alouth.